Hey there. For the second time. Not really, kind of the first time. On our play for this week. Oh, geez. Is Starfield the Prince that was promised? Or is it season 8 of Game of Thrones? A year of hype for nothing. Jordan has the answers. Nintendo has us wondering no longer after its latest Nintendo Direct, giving us so many details on Mario Wonder. Armor Core 6 continues to impress, and I am impressed. All this and more on Season 7, Episode 34 of Press X Start Gamers Digest. What's up, everyone? I'm your host, TJ, a.k.a. Sexy Bad Choices, a.k.a. the Raven that's been getting his cheeks clapped. But it's not too bad. It's not too bad. I'm enjoying my time. I am joined by
Sean MF Ross.
What does the MF stand for?
Double stuffed and extra buff Mrs. Puff.
That's even better. Oh, and who else is here?
It's your boy Jordan, aka JXBot, aka the most space member of the Constellation Society.
Oh, okay. So when you say space, do you mean like you ain't got time to listen to people talking, or you just like you just floating in space constantly?
I'm just taking random objects, putting them in my inventory to sell later, and not worrying about the consequences. Just taking stuff.
Have you been pulled over by the space police yet?
No, not yet. I did take some. I'll talk about it. I took some Metagel, and I ended up on a prison planet, and I was like, "What the fuck?" Just for some Metagel.
So Jordan has become an outer space kleptomaniac. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah.
Wow, crazy. Well, I hope you have the space for it. You know what I mean? All right. Yes, that was a joke, guys. We're gonna get into inventory. Press and Start Gamers Digest is a video podcast and condense the most important gaming news from this past week into an hour-long meal just for you. We're live on YouTube every Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're kind of there. We're gonna get it. What's up, guys? How you doing? Don't forget to support us by liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and hit the notification bell. If you have already subscribed to the channel, we greatly appreciate you, but we need you to like these videos. That part's very important. YouTube doesn't recognize us until people like the video, so like the videos. If you are listening, we greatly appreciate you leaving us a review on Apple Podcasts or podcast service you are currently tuned in on. And again, just like the video. Just jump on YouTube. You got a phone. We know you got a phone. That's how you listen to podcasts. And just go to our channel. Subscribe if you haven't.
You're listening on a phonograph.
I didn't think our podcast was on that service, but if it is, that's dope. What's up, guys from the 1900s? Oh, they're not listening to black people, Sean. What are you talking about? All right. If you want, you can join our conversations on our Discord at pressx2start.com/Discord, and that'll take you right where you need to be, which is in our, not DMs. What is it like? In our, not direct messages. No, DMs, our Discord messages. There you go. Same thing. All right. With that, all that out the way, we can finally talk about Starfield. Before Jordan gives us his first impression on the game, I'm gonna do a little bit of a here we are with Starfield. So right now it is sitting at an 86 on Metacritic and an 88 on OpenCritic. There was a little bit of hop up when it first dropped, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's going up, it's going down, what's going on?" And then IGN dropped that massive 7 out of 10 review, and everyone was like, "IGN."
Well, I mean, they don't count.
So yeah, that's that. On the flip side of that, though, Starfield surpasses 230,000 concurrent players on Steam alone. This comes from GameSpot, specifically from Evan Campbell. So what that means is that all the Starfield players, actually, the exact number is 234,502 players on Steam, and this was of September 1st. So all those Starfield,
counting the people on console.
Exactly, it's an insane number for a game that is technically free with a subscription. So yes, all those Starfield players, charted by Steam DVS, Steam DV, not DVS, spent at least $100 to get early access to the space RPG on August 31st. The Starfield Premium and Constellation Edition, which costs $300, provides early access to the title on Steam, which Game Pass numbers aren't included there. So again, this is insane number for a game you can essentially get for a reduced cost. So I think this is good news for Xbox, this is good news from Bethesda, and this is kind of, I don't want to say that this is like reassuring for Phil in terms of like, yes, Game Pass is working, because I think once we get Game Pass numbers or like some kind of signifier of how much money this is made for Xbox, I think then we can be like, oh, okay, this is a big thing. Jordan, what do you think about that number?
Well, in terms of what you, in terms of the first the 230,000 concurrent players. Yeah, that's pretty cool for Xbox, and like, well, it shows the benefit of having your games, at least and from the start, ported to PC, because there is a market there, an engaged market. And additionally, this is another moment where Xbox has done the play for, or like you pay a certain amount for early access, and if you did have Game Pass, it only like $30 to play it earlier, for the pre-order spacers, premium edition, quote unquote. And I'm interested to see in the next couple of weeks what those numbers are, because they did have those numbers. I think it was like 1 million for Forza Horizon 5. Like 1 million people had bought it before it launched officially on Game Pass. I think for Starfield, I think it's more than that. To be honest, like there was a lot more hype and interest in Starfield than Forza Horizon. A big racing game fan. Those numbers are going to be fairly interesting in the coming weeks.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think, I totally agree with you on that. I think for all of the hoopla that we've given Game Pass and given Xbox and Phil Spencer, like it is nice to see that like this actually released in a good state. And as I said, like the open and Metacritic scores are like both above 85, and it's like that's really strong. Like, Phil Spencer did say like, oh well, there's still like, even if this game was 11 out of 10, there's no way that we would still convert people over. I feel like, even though that's true, but like this game is a good game and it's a Bethesda game and it has all their games have really, really long tails. So it's probably going to do some converting like as it goes
There's
on. And
no need to convert anybody though by way of their new game strategy. You can still keep your
true,
PS and then play Starfield on a streaming device because of xCloud. So
that's a good point.
I don't know if he cares about converting people anymore. It's more
To
so,
the console environment.
yeah, they're not
No.
necessarily competing in the
Yeah.
console space anymore. They're trying to get the streaming numbers. They pretty much aped what Stadia was doing.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Well, I
so
mean,
like,
did Game Pass exist before Stadia though?
it did, but I think I'm not gonna say Stadia was more known, but it succeeded where Stadia failed. Like it was still in beta at the time,
I mean,
Yeah,
xCloud is still in beta.
as much as Fortnite was in beta. But I hear you.
Yeah.
I think we heard about xCloud, but I mean, I could be wrong because I'm not in either of these ecosystems, but like I think it was like Stadia got out
Yeah, it just launched first.
earlier.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah.
well, like looking at Game Pass, one thing I wanted to say was one part of it is attainment and another part is retention. So like there's people that are getting Game Pass. The real value, I think this is a methodology or a business practice done by most streaming and subscription services. How much content you put on there is going to retain people. So that's the true goal here. Is Starfield going to be a game that's going to allow for retention? That and other games they add onto the service habitually. Ideally, Phil Spencer wants to have a moment or a time in Game Pass existence to which the most popular games on there are first party and not be that heavily reliant on third party games. And
Yeah.
And just finally speaking to like the discourse of this week in regards to rating systems in general, I don't blame the community. Both like there's like the PlayStation side and Xbox side in terms of who's the victory if this gets a 90 or below a 90, respectively. Looking back at like how at the discourse of this game, I blame the publications because more often than not, this was done during Halo, to which I'm a fan of Paris, but Paris set up this, echoed this sentiment that in order for Halo to be a god tier great game, it has to have a 90 or above. Like this has to be the one. Ryan McCaffrey, fucking caught in 4K with Podcast Unlocked. Starfield needs to be a 9 out of 10 for this. I'm like, motherfuckers, your publisher didn't even do that. It's like, like this pedestal making. Like there's good shit. There's good shit out there. This is everyone. This is the time when the big three everybody eats. If you have a Switch, you're eating. If you have an Xbox, you're eating. If you have a PlayStation, you're eating. This is the year where everybody eats.
And like, just to echo what you're saying, I feel like the whole game review score being put on a pedestal is completely thrown out the window when you have games that are this big. It's just like you spend 30 hours, 40 hours, 50 hours in a game that's like 200 hours long. And it's just like, what do you guys, at the end of the day, like that review is literally just a place in time. But then you remove yourself 2 months, 3 months out from that. It's like, oh no, this is a completely different game. Like it's been updated. Like it's a live service game. Essentially, it's a live service game in terms of how Bethesda is going to support this thing. So it's just
there was a few moments this week where I'm like, I mean, this last couple days when I was playing Starfield and I would turn over my phone to X and see people bickering, yelling each other online. I'm like, dude, I have a fucking blast right here, man. I'm just fucking, I'm like, why are y'all so mad? Like, why are y'all so mad? Like,
Jordan's up down. Jordan's face floating around upside down.
Yeah, I'm like
going through his inventory. This is awesome.
Does it matter? Like, come on, man. I had a whole bunch of stinkers that people consider stinkers that had a blast in. Like, it's just weird.
Discourse breeds engagement, which is why IGN gave it a 7 out of 10. So,
hey, it was smart.
Hey,
because I looked myself. I was like, what the fuck?
Yep, I did too. I was like, what, really? Yeah, and it's yeah. Okay, let us move on, but not for too far. Jordan, give us your impressions, your first impressions of Bethesda Softworks space Fallout game Starfield or Skyrim. I don't know, whatever it is. You can tell us actually.
Starfield, Jesus Christ.
No. Like, is it like a space Fallout or is it like a space Skyrim?
All right, yeah. No, well, let me provide some context. I am in hour 11 and 12 right now.
This guy can't even review the game. He can't even talk about the game. He's like,
like just because what I say right now in terms of my feelings can drastically change depending on what happens later. Like I have zero context of the end of this game. I've heard people say it's good. I heard say it's bad, and motherfuckers are going around saying beat the main stories and get new game plus, and then go back. And motherfuckers like politics like don't do that. I'm like, everyone shut the fuck up. I'm just going around harvesting shit, killing animals, and raiding facilities. That's my game for now. But yeah, no, the in terms of my history with Bethesda games, I traditionally suck at them because I just can't survive. Like all of them were big survive. Like I like that's what I'm saying. Like it just like part of me think like I was just replaying Fallout 4 and I got way further in that game than I ever did before. I kind of just got disengaged. I think part of it is also the environment Fallout 4 is in, like the post-apocalyptic, very dirty and muddy, and I just wasn't that engaged in that world. Not to take anything away from the game, it was a game whose aesthetic did not agree with me. That's all it was. And that's one of the main reasons why I was excited about this game, is because I like The Expanse. I like space bullshit. I don't like irradiated cannibal zombie ghouls, and giant radioactive bear rat things. So, not trying to say they don't exist in this game. They might, because Todd Howard's always sneaky with it. But yeah, like this game is, in my opinion, one of the most approachable Bethesda games made, and I'll go into that later with the gameplay and graphics, specifically the gameplay. And so far I am enjoying it. I think this is one of the better, like it's I like Bethesda with Elder Scrolls and Fallout and Starfield. They've stayed true to form
Okay.
with the type of game that they make, with the creative engine and all that. So going into the story and world, you're basically this no-name motherfucker mining shit. Well, you can and before that, the character creator, you can like make what your character looks like and all that. You can select one background, which is only 3 sentences long, 3 to 4 sentences long. Some of them deal with certain factions, others deal with certain baseline traits in terms of like your strength and your intelligence. Others deal with social skills. Others deal with space and pirate, like how you handle a ship. I decided to go with like the file not recognized background. Like I have a
Oh,
very
really?
ambiguous, I don't know who the fuck I am. I just showed up for a job one day and that is it. So after you pick that, you have your 3 traits. I selected a trait to which I was born in the United Colonies. I'll get to that in a second. Um, I'm also an empath, so like I know I kind of sense how people feel during conversation, or I can steer conversations away from touchy subjects. Like that's like my character's an empath, and also my
Wait, real
character.
quick about that.
Mhm.
Is there actual like dialogue tree options in game
I'll get
in
to
that
that in a
sense?
second,
Okay.
and it's really
Okay.
good. I'll get to that in a
That's pretty
second.
cool.
It only
Okay.
happens certain times, but there
Okay.
is a dedicated tree, but I'll get to that in terms of gameplay.
Okay.
And my final trait was that I just can't fight in space. I'm shitty at fighting on space stations or in spaceships. To which
Oh,
I'm better fighting planet side. Like fighting planet side gives me a status buff in terms of physicality and accuracy, while fighting in spaceships I get a reduce. Like I'm shitty at it. So I'm better off having my fights on the ground. But
so
you can go to gene clinics, or you can go to certain medical centers and have those traits removed for a certain fee later on in the game at any time.
okay.
At any time.
Did you purposely pick that?
Yes, you had to pick 3. You had to pick 3, and some of them were like religious focus.
Yeah.
But like some of them were just very weird and kind of like like I
Okay.
was like, which ones can I deal with? Like
Yeah, I see. I
I'm
see. I
fine with
see.
like hiding in a space closet with my gun pointed out, while like a makeshift turret essentially, uh, while I'm in space, while like on the ground, I'm like fucking the Hulk. Um,
Mhm.
but in terms of the story and world, yeah, you just some no name miner. You come across this artifact, and one of the supervisors, yo, that's pretty cool. We should call this people like this guy that we know from this group called a Constellation, which are basically Indiana Jones type people who have been around for a long period of time. Their goal is to find alien life
Okay.
because humanity has been among the stars for about 3 centuries now. Well, like like two centuries, like it's like 3 centuries. It's like year 230 something, 2030 something, 2300 something,
Mm.
and their before I get off topic, yeah, their goal is to find alien life because we haven't found it yet. We're
Okay.
kind of worried now because if we like, I think a lot of the philosophy is if we find alien life, we can now have a unified identity and goal. Because a lot of the shit that we had on Earth in terms of divisions, we took out into space. So you
Right.
have the United Colonies, and you have the free states, or like the anarch, like the free settlement people. Like that are not a part of like the core first organized government, the United Colonies. And reading in the first mission around like this UC facility, I'm like, huh, the UC sound like fascists. Like they are like they provide um they it is straight up Starship Troopers. Um
Really?
they provide housing, they provide quality education and all the services, even though they're even though their goal is to have some type of freedom of thought and all that. In order to buy property, you have to be a citizen. In order to be a citizen, you have to go through the army. You have to serve. You know, you have to be a Marine essentially.
So what if you're an undocumented citizen? Then what?
Well, I haven't run into too many characters. We're at a moment where the UC, which is United Colonies, and the Free States people aren't fighting because like there are big wars between them. Now you have settlers from there going into UC space, and they're not openly being treated like second class citizens. But I'm not surprised if I run across some instances of open prejudice between both groups. So yeah. Yeah, and the world is huge. I mean, not the world, the galaxy is huge. It's if I remember correctly, it is mapped off of our galaxy, and
Mhm.
of course, with some changes here and there in terms of playability. And yeah, I am just walking around or flying around, running into people. Like I would go to a clinic and there'll be a full. I would go to like this random system. Like this one moment where a ship hailed me and told me, "Hey, don't go in that direction. Motherfuckers are screaming. It's not good. I would like to help them, but I can't because I don't got a gun. Um, so
Wait, when you say
let's
screaming, do you mean like
distress
screaming over
calls.
comms?
Yeah, they're
Oh,
like distress calls.
oh.
Like they're hailing people to help them, and the other ship was like, "Hey, there's danger down there. I'm not checking it out, but you can." And I did that, and that was a full like 4 hour side mission, essentially. Like
Really?
like I had to fight off these spacers, like these crazy maniac spacers. There's
Sir, they like the term space us.
So because of your traits, were you able to dictate like where you're fighting people? Like, can you like if you engage someone in space, can you
No,
be like, oh, let me go land on this planet and like have them come follow me?
I'm more mindful of my behavior. Like I'm more mindful of my vulnerability.
I
Not
see.
so much like there will be. I can't just like tell them like, oh, fight me up here, motherfuckers. I can't do that. Or fight me down here. Like you're gonna fight them where you fight them.
Yeah, I see. Okay.
But you are more mindful. Like oh, that to like there's just so much in this game. There's just so
Mhm.
much. I'm gonna cut it down. But yeah, like there's let's like that's the thing. I found this alien fucking thing that's shiny and stuff, and
Okay.
it gave me a vision. And only another person in human existence experienced that. Now I'm special, and now I'm just going
Oh.
around finding my own way. In terms of gameplay,
Did that vision give you like direction in terms of where you need to go?
no, no.
Okay, it's
You
just like
you know what it is. It's Mass Effect. It's like oh my god, like oh I
I
can't
see.
decipher this type stuff.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
it's
Okay.
funny like I feel in this game it does such a good job at making me feel like I don't matter, and I appreciate that because I can make my own pathway. I literally just finished playing Mass Effect. I'm like at the last mission of Mass Effect trilogy,
Hmm.
and that game, like you're fucking Commander Shepard, you're a war hero, and you're Jesus, you're space Jesus. Like shit, you're
Yeah.
literally Commander Shepard. This game, you're just just some fucking person, and I'm
I
able to
had
do
a
whatever I
dream.
want.
I mean,
Yeah.
you don't have to play video games to experience that.
Yeah, no, that's why I feel so great. Like I feel so small, and I can do what I want in this world. Like there are
Right.
repercussions, and like I'm like building relationships on the way. I'm like, okay, I know these people at these clinic. Like there are so many characters in this game with unique dialogue. Like I'm like the most random outpost I've gone into has someone there. Like there's a story of this outpost that I'm experiencing either via the documents or people that are there. It's like
Mhm.
this game is just very deep, and I'm just chilling. I'm just having a good time trying to be as strong as possible before I go into the main game and
Right.
fight. Most likely, this game's answer to death. Remember the death claws in Fallout 4? I think this game has some death claw as
Oh, definitely.
creatures that I'm gonna
Oh,
be
I see.
running
Yeah, yeah,
into.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of scared.
We.
Uh,
Well, hopefully you'll fight them on a planet and not in a spaceship.
yeah, right. The spaceship being
I'll turn
piloted by
to
them.
alien isolation. Oh, oh no.
So speaking of which, gameplay, the shooting is great. The flying is great too because I have experience in Elite Dangerous. I have experience in Star Citizen. Some experience in Star Citizen, barely. There's other this is like the I like space fighter games. course, was another one. And yeah, it's not as responsible. It's not as, at least for now, because of my ship's maneuverability. It's
Right.
like it's a freighter. Like I like this freighter. I'm hauling shit. I'm a space trucker, and you have a
Right.
trucker hat too. You like you carry a trucker hat like this, quick. You know what I mean? Like hailing people. See, that's a big 10-4 little Charlie. Going back to the Death Claw Sanctuary. But you can yeah, like you like the ship modification system is super easy. Like I thought it was that's what I was most apprehensive towards, was
Yeah.
a ship modification system, because yeah, like each module has its own weight properties and own purpose too. Like I have an armory, you have a captain's room, you can have crew quarters, you have a mess hall, and depending on the type of ship you have, you have to be very conscious when it comes to your engagements, because you can have a weapon system crew that can help man your turrets and stuff. Maybe you have like a giant cruiser. Like I think you can almost make this something the size of a cruiser, or what would constitute a cruiser, not a battleship, but something that constitutes a cruiser in this game. But like it tells you.
Have you seen like ships of that size? Just like
I've seen
in
glimpses on Reddit of some pretty
okay, okay.
elaborate designs, like
Yeah.
big designs, like just fucking like a house, essentially a giant house, a mansion
Okay.
in the sky. And
Yeah.
actually, I ran into a space station that makes like luxury cruisers, and I'm currently getting some special drink for their architect to get a discount. So,
Oh,
like, their
interesting.
chief architect is like, you know what? I'm a great person. We should celebrate me. Get me something from the city. All right, bye. I'll be right back. And like my character was an empath. So I fed their ego. Like
Yeah.
I made him feel good about themselves. Like, you know what? I am a good person. I am smart. You know what? We should celebrate me. I'm like, yeah, we should.
That's really interesting. So like being an empath, you're able to, I guess, I guess to be in a way like predicting what would work on the person. Is that how
Yes.
that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It can help flesh the conversation, and also in terms of gameplay, what you were talking about with the conversation trees. There
Hmm.
is this persuasion system that I think they had in Fallout 76, but you
Yeah.
have a number. You have certain responses, and you have a certain number of points you need to pass it. Some responses go through, others do not, and you
Hmm.
have an X amount of tries in your skill tree. If you do um, invest in your persuasion tree or your intimidation tree, that value can increase, or the number of ticks you need decreases, or the effectiveness of your choices improves. So yeah, like there was there was a moment where these pirates met me out. They like told me to come outside so we can catch them outside. How about that? Me through the window. So I came outside. They're like, hey, we want your little artifact. Give it to us right now. And I was like, well, you see all these bodies behind me that look a lot like you? You sure you want to do that? And they're like, you know what? You're right. Let's get the fuck up out of here.
That's pretty cool though.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
okay, so before we wrap up this talk, what has been some of the things that has either been like grading or like this could have been improved? Like, are you having any? Because I mean, some people talk about having like bugs. Some people are.
Yeah.
I hear a lot of talk about the inventory system being kind of
Mm-hmm.
atrocious in a way of like it's just hard to deal with. Like, are you running through those issues as well?
Yeah, the UI, as like I think they kind of messed up the balance in terms of simplicity and function.
Hmm.
Because we're dealing with multiple maps here. Like there's a galaxy map and there's a surface map, and the surface map
Yeah.
is not helpful at all. Like the
Yeah.
surface map is like I have to I get submersion, but this is like I have to remember where certain shops are. I'm like, or I'm going on YouTube to
Oh,
find them, and that's not helpful.
can you
In
put a
terms,
marker down, or is it just like
no,
whatever?
and like I was thinking about that. I was like thinking about that today. If I can have like a captain's log of important coordinates,
Hmm.
like there has been times when I come across a helium facility or a mercury facility, and I don't got pockets big enough to carry this shit, but I don't want to forget where this shit is.
Right.
That would be very helpful.
Gotcha.
Um, these planets are big as fuck. These areas are big. There's a lot of indigenous life forms between there, but like it's space. You only expect so much. Um, I need a
Gotcha.
car. I need a Mako. I need a Rover. I'm pretty sure that's gonna be like a lot of people are saying like that's secret DLC, but yeah, I need a Rover or something to get around just a little bit quicker. You know, like yeah, like that would be very helpful. That's in Elite Dangerous, and I think that's in Star Citizen, like smaller ships. They can do it here. Come on, Todd Howard. Just give me a Rover. I can customize, put 32-inch rims, you know, with the blades on it, and I want to call it a day. You know, like that's what I want. You know, and yeah, like that. Those are the main two. The inventory was solved when I started putting giant cargo holds on my ship, and I started throwing shit in there, or I just inundate my companions with food. I'm like, here, hold these meat chunks, like hold these juice chunks, just put them in your pockets. So don't look at me, just don't look at me. Right. Shut up and let me stuff your pockets with shit. Don't talk to me either.
That's funny.
But right now, I am like in an Olympic swimming pool. I'm like half a foot. There's just I haven't even gotten to the free systems yet. Like I'm still in UC. I'm still like 2 jumps away from Alpha Centauri, like New Atlantis, which is a beautiful city. Like graphics, it's a beautiful city that I got lost in for a good 5 hours. I was just going around talking to people and finding stuff and looking at stuff, and that's only one of the cities.
Okay.
I guess. Yeah, I am.
So we'll have much more from you on this game in the future as you explore the wild frontier space of Starfield.
Well, listening to him talk about it almost reminds me of when he was talking about Yakuza.
Yeah. My cabaret club needs me.
Number 2. Nintendo reveals a ton of Super Mario Brothers Wonder details. This comes from IGN, specifically from Ryan Dinsdale. All right. So if you haven't seen it,
go ahead. I said from the Dimmadome, Dimsdale.
Oh. If you haven't seen it, Nintendo released a 15-minute long direct for Super Mario Brothers Wonder, and this trailer was pretty good. I mean, they made it very clear what it was. There was nothing extra tied to this. They just showed a bunch of details for the game, and overall, I think this game looks really, really interesting. Sean, you also you were interested in the game too. Like, what was your impressions on the direct?
So it looks like they revamped a lot of the things. They added a lot of stuff. So it looks like there's finally online multiplayer for Mario. They have their Strand kind of asynchronous thing going on. So I mean, it'll be interesting to play in once we actually get it in our hands.
Yeah. So just to go along with the multiplayer aspect is that instead of doing the 4-player couch co-op, you are playing online and like you have a bunch of ghost characters that are just also trying to complete the level. And you can interact with the ghost characters in terms of if they die, you can pop their bubble. You can also trade items with them, and you do all this stuff, and you get like help points or something. They gave some kind of keyword for it, but you get points for doing all this, and that contributes to like something else. And it's like really cool to have that thought to look at the industry and be like, oh, like that's a Dark Souls kind of thing in a way, where except for you can grief people for that, but yeah, whatever. It would be interesting to see if you actually can grief people in Mario. I feel like they probably like tweak that to the point where you can't, but
they have that restart point thing where you know, you could set down a marker for people to restart. Some people might find out how to like
use that.
Leave that like right before a spike pit or something, you know. Well, there's a will, there's a way.
True. All right. Other things they showed was new new power-ups. I said superpowers. They showed the elephant before, but in the direct they show like a drill power-up that allows you to essentially take damage. It doesn't. I'm not exactly sure if it's like you can take one hit or whatever, and it does things.
There's a card system, so all the cards do different things.
Yeah, the badges.
There's also a drill where you can like hit things above and below.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, that doesn't absorb damage. That's just a straight up new.
Oh, you're right.
Power up weapon type thing where you can hit things with spikes with the drill, or you can drill into the ground. But they also have cards that'll attract coins to you or save you from a
Mhm.
fall, or
Yeah, so
there
those
was at least
cards
20 cards they showed.
are badges in this game, and
Badges, that's the name.
as John said, like they give you different traits. Essentially, you can build a loadout for your Mario,
Mm-mm.
and like
Well, yeah, but you can only have
yeah,
one badge at a time. I
yeah,
wouldn't
but
really call it a
essentially,
loadout.
and then you can also save the different power ups, and you can use the power ups at the same time. So like you get in a weird like, oh, this is essentially you can min max this game, and I think that's a really interesting direction to go with a 2D Mario because people are already kind of min maxing in terms of jump here, dodge here, do stuff. So
Yes,
it's like
speed
it's
runs
setting
are
a
gonna be
level of
stupid
detail.
on this jump.
Yes, exactly. Beyond that, the flowers that you encounter will talk and they're actually voiced. It's a weird, crazy thing. It kind of fits the whole like
Coming from One Piece, I'm on Whole Cake Island right now where the plants talk. It's not all that weird right now.
And then the other thing is that there are 8 playable characters in this game. So you get like Mario, Luigi, Peach, you get Toad, and all the other. You get like 3 Toads or 2 Toads. I don't know. But yeah, you get a bunch of characters. Essentially, they've
Two
given you a
toes
lot.
Hmm,
Two.
hmm, hmm.
Oh no. Oh, no. But yeah, this looks really interesting. I am probably going to get this. The only issue with this is the release date because it comes out same day as Marvel Spider-Man 2.
I'm gonna get both of them.
Yeah,
They have all
yeah,
my attention.
yeah. Oh, and the other thing too is that Luigi, Yoshi and the other character are pretty much in easy mode where you don't take damage when you're playing as those characters.
Mm-hmm.
So that's good for the little ones that want to play this, but not necessarily have the skill to not die.
What kind of weak ass children you raising, man?
I mean, they got to start somewhere. They got to start somewhere, right?
Mm.
So yeah, that's that. If you haven't watched the direct, I suggest watching it. It's only 15 minutes and it's a really good direct. So check it out. Do that. All right. Before we jump into the next story, talking about the PlayStation or the PSP, the new PSP. Hey, do us a solid. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. Please, I'm asking you, do this for us. It will help us grow, become adults, and allow us to flourish. And you want that. You want all those things for us. You do.
You want to see us on
Jordan,
stage
use your
next to
empathy
Jeff
skill.
Keighley?
Empathy. Yeah. If you're listening to us and you're not watching us, shame on you. You should be watching us and listening to us because that's how you're supposed to do that.
What if they don't have eyes?
Oh, damn, you're right. Eggs on me, huh? Well, leave a review on Apple Podcasts or the podcast service you're currently tuned in. All right. And then join our Discord at pressx12start.com/Discord. Do it. All right, let's get back into the show. PlayStation's first remote play dedicated device. PlayStation Portal remote player. Jesus. Okay. The PSP launches November 15th for $200. Like, what is that title?
PlayStation Portal remote
Yeah,
player.
PlayStation Portal remote player.
Yeah,
Like, is that
it's not
is that like
complicated.
is that a
just you.
separate thing?
No, that's just you.
Why do they have to tack on remote player at the end of that? That sounds weird. It's like that's their first system they've ever released to make a article title. That's weird.
They
That's
knew
weird.
DJ was gonna be reading the article. They wanted to mess with you.
They did. They absolutely did, though.
I have it in my cart.
Oh, you do?
Buy
I
it.
have it in my cart. Yeah, I'm gonna get it. It has its use cases for me.
Yeah.
There are times when I'm working and I don't want to be, actually next to the PlayStation. Like I've resorted to because we've had such a delay at my job, I've resorted to just putting my laptop right next to where I play PlayStation instead of actually being in the office. Like I could actually be in the office.
Yeah. Hey, your office is wherever your laptop is.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right, Bob.
And like, I'm still undecided about this device. I think I do have use cases for it in terms of like, oh, at nighttime I can
Core
just
in bed.
Yeah. You know what? The problem that I have is that it looks. I'm comparing this to the Switch, right?
Hmm.
And for me, my issue with the Switch was one, the Joy Cons are horrible controllers, but
Yeah, this is a full size controller.
yeah, exactly. Like that part I think is cool, but there's also a thing of because I'm so used to the PlayStation controller, I don't know how I'm going to react to it being like spread apart kind of thing. And I think like when I I think like when I got my little Switch device thing, it's basically the Pro controller, and there's like a little clip on attached. I can put the screen on it, and like playing the game like that, playing Tears of the Kingdom like that feels so much better. And I
Really?
just don't. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like it is night
Oh,
and
you
day.
mean with the full size controller?
Yes, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah.
So like it's been night and day for me in terms of like my enjoyment of the Switch, but I just am hesitant. I actually, you know what, Sean, you go ahead and get the PSP, and then when you get it, I'll try it out and see if it works for me, and then I'll get it. There you go. There you go. That's what I'm gonna
Sure, man.
do. All right. Number 4, Armor Core 6 is already a big hit. It is a surprise to nobody. This comes from GameRant. Specifically from Parth Bagrat Baguri? Bagria? Sure. Yeah, we're gonna go with that one. So essentially, Armor Core 6 Fire Rubicon is the best-selling game in the UK. Okay, real quick. This is from 6 days ago, so we'll say the 28th of August. So this was before Starfield launch. So there's context, right? So yeah, Armor Core 6 Fire Rubicon is the best-selling game in the UK, receiving positive reviews in its concept combat design. Yes, we talked about it last week. The Metacritic and OpenCritic score are like 85 and above. So it's awesome. On Steam, this is the important part. Armor Core 6 reached a peak concurrent player count of 1,056 156,171. I knew numbers. I knew numbers. I knew numbers. It's just at the time I didn't know them, making it the 5th biggest launch in 2023. Now it's probably the 6th because of Starfield. But I think that is really, really strong. I think that is amazing. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. The last little bullet point is that the game also outperformed Dark Souls titles on the storefront and claimed the top spot in the UK sales charts, which 64% of consoles sold on PS5. When they say that, I need to double check to see if Elden Ring is included on that, because I think if Elden Ring is included on that, that's ridiculous, and I'm not sure if that's actually. I feel like Elden Ring was such a juggernaut that I don't think Armored Core would outperform that. Anyways, the fact that so many people are playing Armored Core 6 is still kind of astonishing to me because that is such a niche game.
I mean,
And
it's because it's not Gundam. Nobody wants to play Gundam.
like I was saying, it's such a niche game. Well, you can kind of play Gundam in Armor Core, Sean. You can. Actually, yeah, we're not going to talk about it. But yes, you can though, because the amount of loadouts you can create in the game, the color schemes you can create, you can essentially mimic certain mobile suits and your mecha stuff that you like. You can even pretend to be a mech warrior, Jordan.
Nice. Well, yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
kind of.
yeah, yeah. You can do it.
Yeah.
Come on, you
Yeah.
can do it. Do it.
Not
Do it.
not my robot. My robot
Join the
doesn't go.
pain train, Jordan.
My robot doesn't float around. My robot stands its ground. That's what my
Hey,
robot does.
hey.
And on Mech Assault, you can put 250 giant guns on it, point it in direction, and tell it to come closer.
You can pretend to have that trait that you have in Starfield, and you can do terrible in the air, but you just stay on the ground and just shoot everything that moves. So yeah, this is just a update on Armor Core 6, and it's doing great. In terms of, I'm just gonna go ahead and just throw my little impressions, or not impressions, like where I'm at right now with Armor Core 6. It's 5 chapters and 1 chapter 3. That's about halfway through. I am continuously getting my ass just completely clapped in this game. in terms of the mission structure. It's just like, all right, go do this thing because we need to get this thing. You go to the thing, you do the thing, and you're like, oh, wait, something's wrong. And you're like, oh, no, what's wrong? And then it's a boss. And then you're just like, oh, no. And then you just die a couple of times. You tweak your build, you come back, and you completely blast them. It's great. The first chapter boss that took me, I don't know, like hours, 3 hours, 2 hours to beat. I came back to that person on a whim just to test this build that I have. It's a missile build. And I just completely smoked him. And I was just like, this game is like God tier in terms of the gameplay, in terms of the satisfaction you get from like overcoming that barrier. Like the thing that a lot of people talk about in the Souls games is like you play this hard boss, you don't know how to deal with him, you spend hours on it, and then you finally get it, and then you beat him. You're just like, oh my God, this is amazing. And like I was constantly searching for that in Elden Ring. Didn't really get that in Elden Ring. And I feel like for me, Armored Core 6 is that thing of like, you have a hard thing. You pause. You figure it out and then you conquer it and you're just like, awesome. I'm amazing. So yeah, that's Armored Core 6. I also play multiplayer. It's not Gundam multiplayer, guys. It is very fast. You know the scenes in Dragon Ball Z where like you have Krillin, Piccolo, Yamcha, Tien, they're all sitting on the sidelines, they're watching like Goku and whoever he's fighting for that day, like go back and forth and they're like swimming around in the air. And they're like, I can barely keep track of them. They're going so fast. It's like that if you're sitting there watching these people fight and you're just like, I guess I gotta go jump into this shit. And then I just die. But yeah, really cool, really fun. I enjoy it. I suggest everyone get Armored Core 6 because it is a great game that will challenge you. All right. Number 5. Wipeout's now remastered and playable in a browser. Coder tells Sony to either let it be or get a real remaster going. That takes balls. This comes from PC Gamer specific. Oh no, I lost it. Oh, there it is. PC Gamer specifically from Rich Stanton. So yeah, this is real quick. Essentially, this coder took it in their own hands and made a Wipeout remastered when it was leaked that it was supposed to be worked on, but as far as we know, nothing really came of it. So this person was like, hey, look, I mean, in terms of it being legal, probably not necessarily legal, but it's a thing that's done. And the person is calling Sony's bluff. I feel like, unfortunately, in the Jim Ryan era of PlayStation, they're probably gonna sue this guy. Like, and I think that sucks. But yeah, did you both of you like Wipeout, right?
I
I
don't.
just loaded up. I'm trying it right now. It's pretty smooth.
Oh,
I don't remember.
I don't play it
that game.
anymore because this shit is hard. Like,
yeah,
but
yeah.
What
that
was
is super
Wipeout
cool.
is definitely a racer of its time in terms of like being super dialed into how fast the actual
Oh, I remember this game.
racer is. Yeah.
Now my tiny eyes. 1995? No. Because it reminds me of F-Zero. Yeah, it's F-Zero.
Yeah.
I'm good.
So yeah, that's that. Oh, the last but not least, I guess kind of last. Anyway, GeForce Now is shutting down in Russia. This also comes from PC Gamer by way of Jorgen Jimenez. Man, names are really difficult.
Jimenez. Jorge Jimenez.
Oh,
Jimenez.
Yeah, but it's probably Spanish. Jorge Jimenez.
Yes, you two are brilliant. Thank you so much for that because I was in a different planet. All right. So essentially, NVIDIA's cloud gaming platform, GeForce Now, will cease its operations in Russia on October 1st. Starting September 1st, NVIDIA's partners, GFN.RU, will close registration for new users and discontinue the sale of GeForce Now subscriptions in the country. GeForce Now is joining other cloud gaming platforms like Xbox Cloud Gaming and Boost Droid, which ended to stream services in Russia over the last year. So essentially, they're basically pointing to quote unquote current circumstances as to why they're shutting down their services
Yeah.
in Russia. It's essentially the whole war on Ukraine, and it's great that they're doing this. It's kind of weird they're doing it now. I feel like you don't think so. I
Well,
feel
no,
like
it's not like I don't think so. It's just, like there are penalties that companies can incur in other jurisdictions, other countries.
mhm.
That Nvidia is probably make themselves vulnerable to continue to do
Oh,
active
they're
work in
probably
Russia.
contractually obligated to provide service up to a certain
A
point.
certain point. Okay, that makes
Yeah,
sense. That makes sense. Yeah,
but yeah,
because
like
it's
it's
like
yeah, they probably just let their shit. I mean, like it is kind of the end of most fiscal years. They let
yeah,
their shit roll over, and they don't want to, get any penalties,
good point.
from European and U.S. governments.
That's a good point. I definitely didn't think about it in that way because like I'm thinking like, all right, well, I mean, the whole war, the Russia and Ukraine war stuff that started that was months ago at this point. Like,
Years, but
kind of
yeah.
weird they start now. But yeah, if it is like a contractual thing, then that makes sense. So true that. All right. Actually, you know what? We can do one more thing since you guys like Cyberpunk. This comes from PC Gamers. CD Projekt casually mentioned that after Phantom Liberty, it's done with Cyberpunk 2077. This comes from Rich Stanton. So essentially, as the title says, they've announced that they'll be moving their teams over to do the next Witcher game, which makes sense. I think other people are a little not shocked, but upset that even though Cyberpunk 2077 has been on the rebound, they're not necessarily going to jump into the sequel. But
Yeah,
they've
no.
already, yeah, no, like, but I think they've already announced that they will be making a sequel at some point.
Yeah. They, they
Yeah,
they said this during Gamescom. Like they during the interviews,
yes,
they said like this is the last big piece of DLC and core mechanic update because like there's stuff outside the DLC that they're updating like police and adding new items and stuff you don't have to buy DLC to have access to.
Mm-hmm.
hmm
And yeah, I mean, it's they opened up a new studio, right? They opened up a new
yeah,
studio in Boston to help fulfill the work needed to get these games out. So yeah, I mean, it's yeah. A
and
Cyberpunk
then
sequel, we're not gonna see for like another 5 years, dude. Like, it's gonna be a while.
longer than 5 years
Yeah,
because then you got Witcher and
yeah. You're
then
right.
probably like yeah like starting work on yeah and then also the other side to this I think the important thing to this is that they will be moving to the Unreal 5 engine
Yeah,
so
for us to use the Unreal 5 engine for for a decade and a
yeah
half.
yeah and I feel like that's a thing that the industry because we went from the industry mostly not mostly but like a lot of the people a lot of the big players being on Unreal and then they moved off into their like own proprietary engines
Yeah,
and now it's
Frostbite,
like
Slipspace, Anvil
yes
for
yes
Ubisoft, Creative for
whatever the Insomniac
Bethesda,
engine was that
Slipspace engine for Halo, and then
mhm.
that one little comment saying, "So we're going back. Guess what, y'all? We're going back to what we knew."
Yeah, it
Yo.
is it's one of those things where it's like the original reason for that was like, the industry felt like they were handing over too much money to the engine developers. So they're like, oh, well, we can bring it in-house. We got tech people, we can make our own stuff. And they do that. And it's like
Oh
sometimes it
wait.
works. Right. Yeah. Like sometimes it works. And other times just like,
This doesn't
oh,
work. Not work.
everything's exploding. There's no explosions in this game. What's happening? So it's like
Why are
you
those characters floating?
exactly. And it's just like I I am relieved to see that like a lot of these industry the AAA games are now going to Unreal 5, seeing that Unreal 5, it's a very stable engine. I'm
Hmm.
This is no paid program for Unreal. Like I'm not sponsored by them. But like I think with them doing that, it gives them more stability in their next Cyberpunk, which was an issue for their first Cyberpunk. And it also allows them to work more so on the games and less on the, oh crap, our engine's exploding. Like, what do we do? Like, they can call somebody. They can go to the Unreal experts who've been working with these engines for decades at this point. So it's like, that's great. That's more power to them. So that's for future products. So Witcher will be on Unreal 5, which is great. Are you guys excited for the next Witcher?
No, that's the Marcus question.
Oh.
No, I mean, nothing against it. I just never played
it. Yeah, I
Okay.
bought it, and then apparently I didn't even get past like the main starting area. Like I didn't even fight the big monster that everyone was afraid of. So I mean, it just didn't grab me. I think I
Really?
got
Okay.
caught up going to these shrines, upgrading shit, and then never actually
Yeah.
used any of the things upgraded. So I don't know.
My girl is so strong. I have nothing to kill though. Yeah, I played Witcher 3. I got probably like 60% through that game. Like that game's a big game, and like I didn't beat the game, but like I enjoyed my time with it, and it was one of those things where it's like, all right, well, I'm gonna come back to this game. And I just didn't come back at the time. So I am excited for the next Witcher. I think looking at the past Witcher and where we are in the market right now, there are certain things in that game that just not gonna fly. Like I think the combat in that game was fine at best, but I think in this generation, in this era of gaming and like third person gameplay, like you have to absolutely nail that. And I think the way that the Witcher move with the magic and then like the potions and stuff, I think all that stuff needs to be tweaked and updated and upgraded. So that's my hope. Other than that, I think the storylines, the side story stuff was all top tier, like quality. I don't think there's any real issue with there. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. And we got some time before that shows up. All right. I think that's it. I think we did it for this jam-packed episode. You guys have anything else to share with the class?
No.
Okay. Sounds good. Sounds good. All right. Well, this has been another episode of Press X Start. We hope you enjoyed. No, Press X Start Gamers Digest. That last part's important. We hope you enjoyed this episode and much you enjoyed making it. Don't forget to leave a review on Apple Podcasts or the podcast service you're currently listening in on. Do it. And like this video if you're watching us. Subscribe to the channel if you are watching us. And hit the notification bell if you're also watching us. That way you'll be up to date on all of our things that we do on the giant interwebs called the internet. Yes. Yeah, that's it. That's it. You have a good day. You continue playing games and you just be nice to your fellow gamers online. Yeah. We didn't talk about, but there's a Call of Duty thing with AI. It's kind of a weird thing. But yeah. Take care.
Right.